Hi guys, Louis Dangoor here from GiveMeSport, and I'm joined by a very special guest. Someone, and I normally, before I do an interview, as all good interviewers should do, try and do my research, listen to some of the other interviews they've done. I haven't found many that you've done, and I don't know whether that's because I was searching under the wrong name because you've had quite a few.
Yeah,
but I couldn't find many you've done, so an absolute privilege to speak to you today, Rick Boogs. Rick, how are you?
Well, you know why? It's because you're speaking to Rick Boogs, as in RickBoogs, where you had to look for Rick Boogs as in RickBugez. Then you probably would have seen some. But yeah, this is one of the first of many to come, I would imagine, of the new Rick Boogs.
I mean, we'll get on to talking about the name changes, but I wanted to speak about your partnership with Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, it's great. It's probably something that myself included and a lot of other fans didn't really think about beforehand. It wasn't something that was like, I guess, on the tip of our tongues that we're like, oh, that's an instant fit. But it works quite well. It works quite well. So speak to us a little bit about what it's like getting to work with Shinsuke.
I love Shins. Shinsuke is like he's like a father figure to me now. He's like a mentor, right? So anything that we have going on, I always like to get his 2 cents, whether it's TV, whether it's live events, tag matches, singles matches for me, character stuff, all of that. I always run it by him. I want to get his feedback on it because he's he's extremely seasoned and he's been through it all. So it's very helpful for a newcomer as me to have such a great mentor.
And I guess it was one of those situations where the partnership seemed to, it wasn't sort of reported beforehand. It wasn't like, oh, this is in the works. There weren't many teasers. Sort of came out of nowhere. Speak to us about when you found out you were going to be paired with Shinsuke. Was it your typical very short notice?
Yeah. I would say probably less than a day's notice. So yeah, nobody would have known because even I didn't know, right?
So what's going through your head when you're told that you're going to be sort of partnered with, in the eyes of many, one of the greatest wrestlers of the 21st century?
Well, first and foremost, it was just basically how are we gonna mesh together? As you said, I think that's instantly people don't think of, Shinsuke and Rick Boogs being a combo together. So I just wanted to see how that magic would play out. And then second of all, it was just, man, like he's had that great WrestleMania moment with that Nita Strauss playing his tunes. So it's like, I mean, I got to follow that up now. You know what I mean? I got this epic performance. So it's just like, with this little bit of time that I had, a few hours to kind of try to get something that was a semblance of his epic tune, right? Just to not flop with that. I mean, as cliche as it is too, it's just taking performance by performance, right? Show by show. And I think we've really, I think we're a pretty solid unit now. I'm very comfortable with him. And I think I would like to think that he likes working with old Rick Boogs, but it's impossible to say. He's just such a sweet, humble guy.
And was it the sort of thing where you'd shown higher ups beforehand that you could sing and hold a note and play the guitar? Because surely.
No, I mean, so in NXT, my character, in a sense, Rick Bugez. I mean, I've been doing like the high pitched scream for. Yeah. That was one of my things it's been a staple in my short career, and that came from inspiration came from Paul Heyman, because in a promo class he said he had some exercise, some drill that he would, put the Rock and Stone Cold through. And that's like to see if they could sing like a girl or whatever, take them out of their comfort zone. And I'm like, well, absolutely, I'll do that. I have no shame in anything. I'm not embarrassed to try anything. So I was like, if that's takes people out of their comfort zone, I'm just going to make that what I do. Right. Because you got to do what other people don't do. You got to stand out in one way or another. So with the whole Shinsuke deal, I just busted that out, right? Just because I'm not going to get rid of the screaming. And and in terms of the guitar playing, I mean, I think it was just, they were just like the writers were trying to think, what could they do with someone like me, right? And they were just, what, like any person goes on social media and sees, oh, what's this person all about? And, from time to time, I'd upload some silly guitar post or something like, oh, he just throw him with shit and have him see what happens. So, I mean, that's the gist of it. And I think it's kind of worked out really well.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best things. I was gonna say some of the best things are often just let's just see what happens, and it works well. But I kind of wanted to ask from your perspective, and I know this is going to sound very much like a relationship question, where one person asks, "What are we? What are you and Shinsuke? What do you see yourself at? Do you see yourself as a tag team? Do you see yourself as his sort of valet and his manager? Do you see yourself as like two singles guys that are aligned? Kind of what in your mind is your relationship with Shinsuke?
We're just a solid unit. I would say that we could be anything. We're versatile, but really I think we're mainly two singles dudes that are aligned, like you said, that, want to mix it up, want to scrap. We got a lot of people that like Los Lotharios trying to make a name for themselves. So they're going for the big wigs like Shinsuke, and take out a guy like Rick Boogs. So obviously, we're just two dudes that like to rock. So we're gonna rock them. We're gonna sock them, basically.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that to explain it, I mean, I would say probably more so along the lines of two singles, thrown together that work off each other well.
Yeah, and your run from NXT, it wasn't sort of your typical route where it's kind of what we'd seen from NXT was you stay in NXT for a while on TV and then get brought up. Whereas it felt you were kind of still in your early stages of NXT. You weren't a regular fixture in NXT on NXT TV anyway. Speak to us a little bit about that jump. Did you feel when you got to the main roster you were ready? And if not, would you have preferred to maybe have some more experience working the USA Network shows in NXT before arriving on the main roster?
I don't think it could have worked out any better, in all honesty. I think my experience in the Performance Center and with NXT and all that, I think it was perfect. Because basically, I'll give you the spiel of my history in the Performance Center. So I started in June of 2017, and about 6 months in, I totally just blew up my knee, ACL and meniscus, MCL and all that. So I had a very extensive surgery, and obviously they don't like to rush people back, especially when they're not doing anything anyways. So they didn't clear me for a year. So at that point, I was going through promo classes and at the PC, part of the culture, going to all the shows and all that still. I just wasn't able to get in the ring. But so I got really ingrained in all of it for that year and a half. So granted, I have limited reps, but I'm starting to really hone in on promos and character work and all that kind of stuff. So when I come back, I'm talking, this is within the month that I got cleared. They threw me on TV because of, I just had a strong personality, and I think that they just wanted to see what I was all about, basically. And I got a great response all around, and everyone was really happy with it. And ultimately, I was just very inexperienced still. So that taste of being on TV and having a great response, like, it made me really hungry in the sense of like, wow, like this is, I should be getting more exposure. I should be getting used more, right? But in everyone else's eyes, it was like, well, I just get more reps, do more of the Florida loop shows and all that. So as time went on, it was a couple more years then, I believe. So that was 2019 first, like it was like January 2019 where I was on TV. And then I got called up in May 2021. So right, that was years then of not getting TV time, but obviously doing Florida shows and all that, getting reps in, doing PC stuff and maintaining promo work and all that. So it was like, man, like just itching, like use me, do something with me. And ultimately, I believe I was in this Old Spice campaign, and that got me seen by everyone within the company. And then they decided to call me up from there. And I think that, I mean, really, it worked out great. Like I said, I don't think it could have worked out any better because I got a taste of it early on when I was inexperienced. And then I had years to develop in a sense. and then just got called up and put in a great position paired with Shinsuke. Like, it's, you know what I mean? And be on TV every single week. And now we're just rolling. We're rocking and we're rolling, right? I mean, it's great.
And I want, you mentioned the Performance Center. I want to speak a little bit about that. Possibly, and it was a dark time for everyone. But one of my highlights of the Performance Center era of NXT, of main roster shows, I believe it was you. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there was someone in the crowd when they had the NXT performers in the crowd. There was someone in the crowd just shouting sort of funny one-liners. People would say something, and then there'd be a break in silence, and you'd hear this like deep but also high-pitched voice from the distance. And then they were circulating on Twitter. I can't remember specifically. To be honest, I tried to find some clips, and again, I was struggling. But that was you, right?
Yeah, that was me. So, and again, this all stems back to just trying to find a way to be used and to be seen. And obviously, and it worked both ways too. It's not like I was just trying to get myself over. I was trying to bring good energy to the crowd. And I saw this as a perfect opportunity because these were long days that we were doing these tapings for TV. Like, we would get there at like 10 a.m. and sometimes we don't get out till like midnight. Yeah. Because they would do like Raw and SmackDown, or they do maybe like multiple episodes too. So, I mean, it's very important for the workers, right? The people in the ring, that they got to have an audience. It's really hard to have matches go 100% when there's no one there watching and cheering and all that. So I'm like, okay, well, let's make a lot of noise. Let's, be as high energy as possible. But at the same time, like, I'm on TV every single, you know what I mean? Like, listen, I'm in the audience, but I'm still on TV, and I never take that for granted. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now that once I realized that when I was on NXT, and then I wasn't for years, I realized the value of being on TV, like being seen. Not being seen is the worst thing. So as long as you can be seen, no matter what it is, whether you're in the ring, whether you're in the audience, it doesn't matter, because it's all an opportunity.
And so, obviously, it got over a lot with the fans. Like, there were clips being shared around on social media. I know you said that you were doing it for the performers as well, so they had something to go with. Did anyone specifically speak to you and be like, oh, that was really good? Whether that was maybe a higher up or a talent themselves that was like, okay, I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
Everyone, for the most part. So at first it was funny because like the first day I think we did it, and I was just like, I was more high energy than ever because I was fresh, and the whole pandemic was going on. Like, we weren't doing anything at the time too. So I was like, just like screaming my head off and going crazy. And like higher ups were like, listen, you gotta just tone it down a little bit, just take it back a notch. And I was like, we'll see about that. And I just kept it up. And I heard that like Vince just wanted, he's like, no, don't let him just be himself. And right. And then eventually doing that over and over and over again and all that. And then I got a lot of people, especially like when I got called up and I was in the locker room with everyone on the regular, they all expressed how much they appreciated the high energy, right? Awesome. Because you can see in the audience, I don't know if people remember these shows very well. It's already a pretty long time ago, but like the energy was not there sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, because we would film like Raw, and then we would tape like SmackDown, and by the time you get to like the end of SmackDown, people were just dead. Yeah. Right. So whatever you got to do, I mean, drink 10 cups of coffee, do whatever, get some snacks, and but bring it. We got to bring it, because this is a historic moment. These pandemic performance center shows are a piece of history now. You're right.
They are. No,
that's not happening again.
And it was like, well, let's hope they're not happening again. But
yeah.
And I know from your point of view, like as I said, it got over really well with the fans, and it was that the shows were difficult to watch, not because of the talent in the ring. I think it was just difficult as a whole for anyone to consume TV, even sports shows. I know sporting events that were in front of no fans. It was difficult. So any sort of enjoyment you can get, any sort of light relief, and you were providing that. So that was great. And I know you mentioned when you got to the locker room, there were a lot of people. Was there anyone in particular that sort of gave you a real big thanks for what you did? Anyone or anyone in particular since you've been on the main roster that's really sort of maybe taken you under their wing or given you support, or you've just enjoyed being around?
Oh man, everyone. Like a lot of all the producers for the most part were very grateful that I brought so much energy, because they're in charge of creating these matches for the most part, and like they want them to succeed and they want them to be fun, and and then the audience is such a big part of that. And in terms of people helping me out in the locker room, I can't think of someone that hasn't given me advice or helped me out or been supportive. And it's great. Like, honestly, I before I got called up, I didn't know what to expect. And I thought it was going to be, I don't know, I thought it was going to be the more toxic in a sense and like competitive. And you know what I'm saying? But like, everyone's just great. Everyone's great and very supportive. And speaking of the, like the audience and being part of that, and then getting the feedback of how thankful people were. I mean, it's a testament to just the audience in a sense, like the current audience, the WWE universe, if you will. Right. I mean, and that's it's a great point to bring up about WrestleMania. Right. So that this is the first time in a couple of years now where international fans can return. So there was that WrestleMania last year where there was an attendance, but it was, it was like, I think it was like half attendance or something. Yeah. And I remember I was there because I had to do the Old Spice campaign. And I just remember like some of the workers and the talent were just so like relieved and ecstatic and thankful and joyous that there was people there, like organic applause and celebration, and you know what I mean, organic as opposed to Rick Boogs, it was organic. Don't get it wrong, but in their eyes, it could be like, well, this guy just works for the company, right? Yeah. So these are with let me just say that though, the international fans can return now. So unlike last year, where it was half, now it's the full shebang bang, right? No travel restrictions anymore. Now we can freaking sell out Dallas. April 2nd.
Well, I was going to say, listen,
WrestleMania 38.
I love the US fans. You're great, but us UK fans, we are on a new level. So getting us over to WrestleMania, it's only going to increase the enjoyment. But I had a few more questions before I let you go. I wanted, you mentioned earlier your names, your several names, and while Rick Boogs is a great name and it works well, it doesn't quite top Eric Bugenhagen. I mean, what a name! It is wrestling. That's a wrestling name, over the top, but like it feels real. It suited you. So, speak to us a little bit about that name being changed, because for a lot of people, it kind of would suit what you're doing now.
Yeah, in a sense, it's kind of like Van Halen, like Bugenhagen. I mean, so originally when I was new to the Performance Center, like they wanted us to kind of, create personas and pitch names and things of that sort. And obviously my name's Eric Bugenhagen. So in high school, I had some people like, just for, jokes, call me Rick Boogs, right? Because this is my name shortened, right? Eric Bugenhagen, Rick Boogs. So that was just one of the names that I pitched, and I cut promos, Ricky B and the Boogs Cruise, Rick Boogs, all that good stuff. It was fun. It's fun to play around with. And then for my NXT debut, they just went with my real name, even though I was going by Rick Boogs on like the Florida shows and stuff. And I was like, oh man, that's kind of weird, but whatever. And then people really liked Bugenhagen, right? And then I was kind of upset when they changed it back. But it is fun. Like Rick Boogs, I feel like it's one of those names where it's like, I'm not gonna say it's stupid, but I think it's gonna stick, because this is like Rick Boogs. It gets people, anytime people ask them, what's your name? Like Rick Boogs. They always got, you know what I mean? Like they don't really know what I'm saying, right? So you got to reinforce it. No, Rick Boogs with G.
It's that like endearing goofy, which is just brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like it's gonna stick because of that, because it's like over the top in a sense. Whereas Bugenhagen, it just sounds like a really cool name.
Yeah, and I've got one final question here, and it's actually a quote from Chris Jericho, who I don't know if you've seen this, but on a podcast a couple of months ago, he was saying how you were like super entertaining and had a lot of mileage, and he really like enjoyed what you were doing. Speak to us a little bit about that. Had you seen the feedback? Sort of not the feedback, but the praise he'd given you, and kind of what were your thoughts when you heard what he had to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's I was definitely happy for the most part, and then the only thing that was negative was you saying that Rick Boogs was going to hold me back, that name.
Yeah,
I accept that as a challenge, because I don't think so. I think Rick Boogs it's gonna get way more over, in a sense. I think I take that as, let's see what we can do with this name, Rick Boogs. As of right now, I mean, let's look at the entrance to Shinsuke, right? I'm Rick Boogs. You know what I'm saying? Like, what would we have done with Bugenhagen in that sense? My name's Eric Bugenhagen. I mean, maybe it could have worked, but I think Rick Boogs it works better in that sense. So he had a lot of praise, and I'm very grateful for that. And, hopefully I can live up to that. And I think that's what I'm doing. And I just want to prove him wrong in the Rick Boogs shtick.
Let's hope so. But if anyone would have made it work with Eric Bugenhagen, probably would have been you. Rick,
I would have found a way,
you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me today. I really, really enjoyed this. Before I let you go, can you just let people know where they can check out what you've got going on social media and kind of anything that you may want to draw people's attention to and plug?
Oh, absolutely. On social media, can I even remember my handle? I think it's at Rick Boogs WWE, I believe. RICKBOOGS. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
It is.
Yeah. And then with that being said, though, are we going to see you at WrestleMania? You going to see you in Dallas? So. You going to Dallas? So. You can get the travel package, right? The VIP travel package. Go to SmackDown, WrestleMania, and Raw. That's what I'm talking about. International travel, right? The ban has been lifted. Let's fill the arena.
I thought you were going to bring me as like your international guest. I wouldn't have to get the travel package.
We can make. I'll see what I can do. Listen, Rick Boogs doesn't have that much pull yet, but maybe.
Maybe come April, things will have changed, and Rick Boogs he can bring the entirety of the UK over. That's the pull you are. But Rick, thank you.
Listen, it's a shame that it was in Tampa last year, right? So there's the whole pirate ship and all that. I mean, it's a shame that wasn't this year because listen, the Boogs cruise. Right, I've been dropping this in promos here and there on these WWE exclusives, right? So it's not getting the prime time like the SmackDown viewership, but I'm trying to get the Boogs cruise to be a thing, and then maybe for WrestleMania you could be on the Boogs cruise, you could be on the ship, right? Coming from coming overseas to make the trip. That's part of the VIP package.
Awesome. Let's see. Let's see if this Boogs cruise gets over. But Rick, thank you very much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.